Smoke filled the sky above a strange world as a small escape pod fell through the clouds. It spun slowly, its outer shell cracked and burning. The air around it sizzled as metal met the planet's atmosphere. With a loud crash, the pod hit the ground, sliding across rocky soil and coming to a stop near a wide field of purple grass. Inside the pod, a young man named Rin opened his eyes. His head ached, and he could hear a soft ringing in his ears. He sat up, pushing away broken wires and shattered screens. The lights inside the pod were flickering. Everything smelled like burnt metal and dust. He had no idea where he was. He stood up slowly, holding on to the side of the pod for balance. His legs were shaky, but he was alive. His suit was torn at the shoulder, but nothing felt broken. The air outside looked calm, so he pushed open the hatch and stepped out. Rin had trained for this moment. He was part of Earth's exploration fleet. He had learned how to land on strange planets, how to survive with limited tools, and how to stay calm. But nothing could have prepared him for what he saw. The sky above was green, almost glowing, with clouds shaped like long ribbons. The sun was not like Earth's sun. It was smaller and softer, giving off a golden light. Tall trees with silver leaves swayed gently in the wind. The ground was covered in smooth stones, moss, and purple grass that moved as if breathing. He took a deep breath. The air was clean and fresh. He checked a small device on his wrist. Oxygen levels were safe. Temperature was normal. No dangerous signals nearby. For now, it was quiet. As Rin walked away from the pod, he noticed strange symbols carved into stones nearby. They looked old, maybe part of a path or a wall. Some symbols looked almost familiar, though he couldn't read them. He followed the path slowly, scanning the area for any signs of life. Then he saw her. At the edge of the clearing stood a tall figure. She wore a silver cloak that shimmered in the sunlight. Her skin was light blue, smooth like marble, and her long hair flowed like water. She did not move, only watched him with wide, glowing eyes. Her hands were open at her sides, as if she had been waiting. Rin stopped walking. He didn't know if she was friend or enemy. He raised his hands to show he meant no harm. He took a step forward. "Hello," he said. His voice was calm, but his heart beat fast. "My name is Rin." For a moment, the alien woman said nothing. Her eyes studied his face carefully. Then, slowly, she dropped to one knee. She bowed her head low and placed one hand over her chest. "My lord," she said softly. Rin blinked. He wasn't sure he had heard correctly. Did she just call him my lord? He looked around, thinking maybe she was talking to someone else. But there was no one else there. Just the two of them in the quiet clearing. "I'm sorry," Rin said, walking a little closer. "I think you've made a mistake. I'm not—" "You have returned," the woman said, still kneeling. "The one from the stars. The heir of the flame." Rin shook his head. "I don't understand. I crashed here by accident. I'm just a mechanic. I fix ships. I'm not anyone special." The woman slowly rose to her feet. She was taller than Rin by a few inches. Her expression was calm, almost gentle. She looked at him as if she had seen a ghost. "You carry the mark," she said, pointing to his left shoulder. Rin looked down. His suit had torn in that area. His skin was showing. There, on his shoulder, was a small symbol. It looked like a circle with 3 short lines around it. It was a family symbol, passed down for many generations. His grandfather had the same mark. It was nothing more than a memory of Earth. "You wear the fire crest," the woman said. "Only the true line bears it. We were told you would come from the sky, when the world was in shadow." Rin didn't know what to say. This planet was clearly full of secrets. Somehow the people here believed in someone who looked like him. Someone with his symbol. But that couldn't be true. Could it? "What is this place?" he asked. "This world is called Viralia," the woman replied. "Long ago, a being came from the stars. He guided our people, taught us, protected us. He promised to return one day when the time was right. We called him the Sky Heir. And now you have come." Rin took a step back. "I'm not that person. I didn't even know this place existed. I came here by accident. I don't know your people or your history." "But the flame knows," she said, "and it has brought you back." Rin looked at the sky. Somewhere out there his crew might still be fighting or lost. He didn't know what the future held, but he knew this moment was real. The woman in front of him truly believed he was someone important. "What's your name?" he asked her. "Mira," she said. "I am a guardian of the old blood. I was trained to watch the skies, to wait for the one who carries the crest." Rin looked down at his shoulder again. That symbol, once just a family mark, now felt heavier. He wasn't ready to be anyone's leader. He wasn't ready to be anyone's "my lord." But for some reason, this woman believed in him, and for now, that was enough to take the next step. Mira led Rin through the tall grass and shining trees. The wind was soft, and the leaves above their heads made a gentle sound. Rin followed her slowly, still unsure about everything. His eyes moved across the strange land. It was beautiful, peaceful, and yet it felt ancient, like something very old was sleeping beneath it. He had many questions, but Mira walked in silence. She carried herself with calm steps, her long cloak brushing the ground as she moved. After some time, they came to a path made of dark stone. Strange markings were carved into it. They looked like writing, but not like anything Rin had seen before. The air around the path felt cooler, almost like the stones were remembering something. "Where are we going?" Rin asked. "To the Hall of Roots," Mira said. "It is a place of memory. There you will see the truth of our past." Rin didn't know what that meant, but he kept walking. If there were answers anywhere, he would find them there. The path led into a deep canyon with high stone walls on both sides. Moss and vines hung from the rocks. The light from the sky became dimmer as they went deeper. Birds with crystal-like wings flew above them. Strange creatures peeked from cracks in the walls but ran when they saw Rin. Finally, they reached a tall gate made of silver and stone. Mira placed her hand on a glowing panel beside it. The gate opened with a quiet hum. Inside, the hall was wide and cool. Light shone from the floor and the walls. The air was filled with a soft humming sound. The Hall of Roots was not empty. All around the walls were tall, flat stones standing like silent guards. Each stone had symbols on it. Some showed stars and planets. Others showed ships in the sky. Some even had pictures of people who looked human. One figure appeared again and again. A tall human in shining armor holding a rod of light, standing above crowds of kneeling people. Rin stopped in front of one of the carvings. He touched the face of the human figure. The detail was clear. The eyes looked forward with strength and kindness. The armor had the same circle and line symbol that Rin wore on his shoulder. "That's not me," Rin said quietly. "It is your line," Mira said. "He came long ago. He lit the first torch and gave knowledge to our people. He helped build the sky bridges. He brought order to the clans." Rin turned toward her. "This is impossible. Humans never came this far before. At least, not that I know of." "You may not know," Mira replied, "but the stars remember." She walked to the center of the hall and placed her hand on another glowing panel. The floor shifted, and a round platform rose slowly. Light began to shine above it, forming a picture in the air. It was a message, not a carving, but a memory from long ago. A figure appeared in the light. A man with brown skin and short black hair stood tall, wearing armor. He looked human. His voice came through the air, soft but clear. "To those who follow," the voice said, "we were the first to find this world. We came in peace. We left the flame behind, not as a weapon, but as a promise. If this message is heard, then the time has come to return. The torch must not go out." The light faded. Rin stood still. His mind was full of thoughts. Was that man truly one of Earth's first explorers? Could his own family be connected to something like this? He remembered stories from his grandfather, old tales, told before bed, about ancient ships and lost missions. Rin had always thought they were just stories. "What happened to him?" Rin asked. "No one knows," Mira said. "After the flame-bearer left, our people grew strong for a time. But without the guidance of the torch, we began to fall apart. Many forgot. Only the Order remembered. We waited for your return." Rin sat on the edge of the platform. He looked at his hands. They didn't feel special. He was a ship tech, someone who fixed engines and cleaned parts. He had no great wisdom, no magic, no power. "I don't think. I can be who you're waiting for," he said. "I'm just a normal person." Mira knelt beside him. "The torch was not given to gods. It was given to people, people with hearts and doubts. The first flame-bearer did not come with armies. He came with light and knowledge." Rin looked around the hall once more. So many carvings, so many voices, lost in time. And now, somehow those hopes were being placed on him. "I don't even know how to light a torch," he said with a weak smile. Mira smiled gently. "The flame already burns. You came. That is the first step." A quiet sound filled the hall. The glowing floor slowly dimmed, and the message faded. Mira stood and looked toward a doorway at the back of the hall. "There is more," she said. "Not just memory. Something remains, a sign of the old promise." Rin followed her through the doorway. Inside was a small chamber with a stone pedestal. On it rested a metal box with soft blue lights. Mira placed both hands on the box. It opened slowly with a soft hiss. Inside was a ring. It was made of dark metal and shone with tiny stars on its surface. At the center was the same crest, circle with 3 lines, the symbol of Rin's family. "This was his," Mira said. "And now it is yours." Rin took the ring. It was cold and heavy. As he placed it on his finger, the stars on it glowed faintly. For a long moment he said nothing. Then he whispered to himself, "Maybe this isn't a mistake." Mira looked at him with calm eyes. "The flame lives in you." Whether you believe it now or not, time will show you. Rin stood taller. His heart still held questions, but his steps were no longer uncertain. Somewhere in the stars, a promise had been made, and now he was here to answer it. Rin stood outside the Hall of Roots with Mira by his side. The ring still rested on his finger, warm and glowing. The wind blew gently through the silver trees. Birds sang high above in the canopy, but Rin's heart was not at peace. Something felt heavy in the air. Mira looked toward the hills in the distance. Her face was calm, but her voice was careful. They will come soon. Who? Rin asked. The Sky Guard. Mira answered, They serve the new rulers. They do not believe in the return of the flame. They fear it. They will not want you here, Rin felt a chill. He had seen soldiers before. He had seen war. Back on Earth, he had trained in defense, but he never wanted to fight. Now he was in a world where his name might bring trouble. We should leave this place, Mira said. There are still some who remember the old vow. If we reach the highlands, we may find help. They did not wait. Mira led him to a narrow trail behind the hall. It curved around cliffs and passed beneath hanging vines. The land grew wilder with each step. Flowers the size of his hand opened and closed as they walked past. The wind carried scents Rin had never smelled before. They reached a ridge that looked over a wide valley. Rin stopped to take in the view. Far below there were floating platforms, machines that hovered above the ground, moving slowly across the land. Workers walked beside them. Drones flew above, scanning everything. In the center of the valley stood a tall tower made of black stone and metal. Red lights blinked near its top. That is one of the watchtowers, Mira said. The Sky Guard built it after the old cities fell. They say it keeps order, but it only watches and controls. Rin kept his eyes on the tower. He could see it pulsing, like a giant heartbeat. A symbol was marked on its side. 3 sharp lines crossed over a circle, the same shape as his family. Crest, but changed, like it had been twisted. They turned the torch into a cage. Mira whispered, That is what happens when power loses purpose. They moved quietly along the ridge and followed a dry riverbed that led north. The sun dipped lower in the sky. Shadows stretched across the ground. As night came, they found shelter inside a small cave. Mira started a fire using a flat stone and a piece of glass. The flame was soft blue. Rin sat near the fire, watching it. Dance, tell me more about the Sky Guard, he said. How did they take power? Mira looked into the fire. Her voice was quiet. After the first flame-bearer left, the world changed. Some wanted to follow his path. Others wanted to rule in his place. They built machines, gathered weapons, and claimed the old cities. They called themselves guardians of peace, but their peace was built on fear. The true order was broken. Only a few of us kept the memory alive. Rin nodded slowly. So they fear the old flame because it reminds them they are not true rulers. Yes, Mira said, if you rise, they fall. That is why they will try to stop you. Rin looked down at his hands. They were still rough from ship repairs and hard work. Not royal hands, not hands of a leader. But the fire in his ring glowed brighter, as if it had heard Mira's words. Don't want war, Rin said. You may not want it, Mira answered, but it may still come to you. That is the way of broken empires. The next morning they continued their journey. The path led them through wide fields of grass that changed colors with the wind. Small creatures with glowing eyes watched them from the brush but did not come close. Rin felt the world was alive, listening to every step. By midday. They reached a cliff that looked over a large ruin. Towers, once proud, now lay in pieces. Stones carved with star maps lay cracked across the ground. Trees grew through broken halls. It was a forgotten city. This was Solmir, Mira said. The city of learning. The first flame-bearer built it, with our ancestors. Now it is only dust. They walked through the ruins in silence. Rin felt something stir inside him. As they passed through a half-buried doorway, he saw a carving on the wall, a star, a ship, and a flame held high. The carving lit up softly as he came near. Mira placed her hand on the stone, and a soft chime sounded. A voice came from the wall, old and faint. Let the light guide the fallen. Let the flame rise again. The voice faded. Mira turned to Rin. It remembers you. Before Rin could speak, a loud noise broke the air, a sharp humming sound. Then a flash of red light shot across the sky. They found us, Mira said. 3 small ships flew low above the city. Sky Guard, scouts. Their wings were shaped like blades, and their engines burned with blue fire. The ships circled once, then began to descend. Rin and Mira ran through the ruins, keeping to the shadows. The ships landed behind them. Soldiers in dark armor stepped out, weapons in hand. Their helmets covered their faces. One of them pointed in Rin's direction. There. The voice called, "Capture the outsider." They ran through broken walls and jumped over fallen stones. Mira knew the path well. She led Rin to a narrow tunnel under a collapsed tower. They moved fast, breath sharp, hearts pounding. Lights flashed behind them. Voices shouted. They came out of the tunnel near a deep ravine. A single bridge crossed it. Old and thin, we must cross, Mira said. They ran onto the bridge as blasts of red light hit the stones around them. The old rope cracked and swayed under their feet. One of the soldiers fired again. The blast hit the side of the bridge, tearing a hole. The bridge shook. Rin grabbed the rope and held tight. Mira reached the other side first and turned to help him. With one final step, Rin made it across. The bridge snapped and fell into the ravine. The Sky Guard could not follow. Breathing hard, Rin looked back at the fallen bridge. Then he looked at Mira. She was calm, but alert. "They will not stop," she said. "I know," Rin answered. His legs ached. His hands shook. But something inside him had changed. He no longer felt like a visitor on this world. He felt like a part of it, and he was ready to take the next step. The path after the broken bridge led through a thick forest. The trees here were taller than towers, their silver leaves glowing faintly in the dark. Rin walked beside Mira in silence. His body was tired, but his mind was full of questions. Thought about the soldiers who chased them. They were fast and organized. The Sky Guard had powerful ships and weapons. If they saw him as a threat, it meant they truly feared the flame. That fear gave Rin a strange feeling of strength. Mira led him to a quiet place near a waterfall. A small cave behind the water offered shelter. Inside, the floor was dry and smooth. Rin sat down with a deep breath. Mira lit a soft flame with her stone. It gave the space a calm glow. "We can rest here?" she said. Rin nodded and leaned against the wall. His legs ached, and his shoulder was sore from the escape. He looked at the glowing ring on his finger. The stars on it still pulsed with gentle light. It was more than a symbol now. It felt alive. "Do you think they'll follow us here?" he asked. "Not yet," Mira said. "They believe we fell with the bridge. That will give us some time." Rin looked at her. "How far are the highlands?" "Still many days," she answered. "But we are close to allies. There are still some who believe in the flame. They remember the old ways. If we reach them, we will not stand alone." Rin closed his eyes for a moment. He had not slept properly since the crash. The noise of the forest was peaceful. Mira's calm voice made him feel safe. After some time, he opened his eyes again. "How did you become a guardian?" Mira smiled softly. "My family was part of the Order of the Old Blood. We were chosen to protect the knowledge. As a child, I was trained to read the stars and listen to the echoes of the past. When I was 16, I took the vow to serve the return of the Flame-Bearer. Did you always believe I would come?" Rin asked. "There were moments I doubted." Mira said, "But the flame is patient. It waits without fear. I kept the vow because I believed someone would rise. I did not know it would be you. But now I see the light in you." Rin felt warmth in her words. He had never thought of himself as someone others would believe in. But Mira did not speak like someone who followed blindly. She spoke with hope and trust. That night, as they rested in the cave, Rin had a dream in the dream. He stood on a high mountain. Below him was a sea of stars. A great fire burned in the sky. From the fire a voice spoke, calling his name. Not in fear, not in anger, but with purpose. He woke with a sharp breath. The ring on his finger glowed brightly. Mira was already awake, watching the entrance of the cave. "What is it?" Rin asked. "Something is near," she said. Just then, the sound of wings filled the air, but it was not the sound of ships. It was the sound of beasts. Rin stepped outside and looked up. 3 large creatures flew above the forest. They had wings like cloth and long tails with feathers. On each beast, a rider sat tall, holding a flag with the symbol of the old flame. Mira raised her hand, and the riders landed beside the waterfall. The leader stepped forward and removed his helmet. He was an older man with gray hair and kind eyes. "Mira," he said, "the Watchers saw your signal. We came as fast as we could." "This is Rin." Mira said, "He carries the ring. The flame has returned." The man looked at Rin with wide eyes. Then he placed his hand over his chest and bowed. "We have waited for you," he said. Rin nodded, feeling the weight of the moment. These people had risked much to come here. They believed in him, not because of what he had done, but because of what he might become. They flew on the backs of the beasts for many hours. The wind was strong, but the view was clear. Below them, Rin saw rivers, broken towers, and fields that stretched far into the horizon. In the distance, tall mountains rose like giants as they reached the highlands. The air grew colder. Snow dusted the peaks. At the edge of a wide cliff stood a large stone building. It had many arches and banners that waved in the wind. The symbol of the flame burned on each flag. This place was alive with people. As Rin and Mira landed, dozens of watchers and workers came to see them. Some wore armor, others robes. All stopped and stared when they saw the ring on Rin's hand. One by one, they placed their hands on their chests and bowed. Rin felt something rise in his heart. Not pride, not fear, but responsibility. Inside the stone building, a meeting was called. The leaders of the highlands gathered. They were old and young, men and women, warriors and builders. Mira stood beside Rin as he faced them. He spoke clearly, "I did not come here to rule. I did not ask for this ring. I did not know your world or your people. But I have seen what you face. I have seen the Sky Guard. I know what fear looks like, and I know we cannot face it alone." The room was silent. Then a woman in silver armor stood and spoke. "Will you lead us, Rin of the Flame?" Rin looked at Mira. She gave a slight nod. He turned back to the crowd. "I will not lead from above. I will walk beside you. We will rise not because of me, but because of what we believe in. The fire is not mine, it is ours, and together we will carry it forward." A soft wind moved through the hall. The flame banners lifted higher. Outside, the storm was growing, but inside, the light had returned. Snow fell gently across the stone courtyard as Rin stood at the edge of the balcony. The highlands stretched far beneath him. The mountains were sharp and strong, just like the people who lived there. Since his arrival, they had welcomed him, with respect but also with caution. Some believed fully. Others still watched him with quiet eyes. Rin could not blame them. He had not done anything great yet. He had no army, no throne, only a promise, and a ring. Mira stepped beside him. Her cloak fluttered in the wind. She looked at the land below. "The message has reached the outer valleys," she said. "More have begun to light the torches. Villages that were silent for years now speak your name." Rin gave a slow nod. "But the Sky Guard will not stay silent for long." "They know you live," Mira said, "and they fear what comes next." Later that day, a scout returned from the east. His face was pale. His hands trembled. "They are moving," he said. "The Sky Guard is gathering near the Black Road. 10 ships, ground troops, drones. They are preparing for a strike." A murmur spread through the stone hall. Some leaders rose at once, ready to defend. Others argued for caution. Rin listened to each voice. Then he stood and raised his hand. "If they come for us, we will not hide," Rin said, "but we will not strike blindly. We need knowledge. We need to know where they are weak." An old man named Oren stepped forward. He wore faded armor and had one blind eye. "There is a place," Oren said. "An old vault beneath the mountains. Before the Sky Guard rose, it held records from the first flame. They say even the codes of the early fleets are still hidden there. If we reach it, we may find something to use." "Where is it?" Rin asked. "Beyond the Ridge of Thorns." Oren replied, "Deep in the frozen path." Mira looked at Rin. "It is dangerous. The roads are lost. Many who go there do not return." Rin nodded. "Then we must be careful. But if this vault holds answers, we cannot leave it buried." That night, Rin packed supplies with Mira and a small team. They left before sunrise. The journey was cold and rough. Ice covered the narrow paths. At times, they had to climb using ropes. The wind screamed through the rocks like a voice from the past. After 2 days of travel, they reached the Ridge of Thorns. Sharp stones jutted from the ground like broken spears. Every step was hard. One of the team members, a young scout named Lin, cut his leg on the rock and had to ride on Mira's beast the rest of the way. On the 3rd night, they camped inside a hollow stone. Rin sat by the fire holding a small map that Oren had given him. It was old and faded. Symbols marked the hidden door to the vault. "What do you think we'll find?" Mira asked. "I don't know," Rin replied. "But something in me says we're meant to open it." Maybe it will show us what the flame truly is. In the early morning, they found the entrance. It was buried under snow and vines, hidden at the base of a cliff. Rin placed his hand on the center stone. The ring on his finger glowed. Slowly, the stone moved. A doorway opened, leading into the dark. They stepped inside with torches. The air was dry and still. Long halls stretched before them. Carvings on the walls showed stars and ships. Some drawings showed humans standing with Varelians, hand in hand. They reached a chamber filled with machines. Screens lined the walls. A metal chair stood at the center. Rin approached it slowly. As he touched the armrest, lights flickered on. The machines spoke in an old voice, access granted. Flamebearer confirmed. Unlocking vault records, the walls came to life. Images appeared in the air. Star maps, old symbols, names of ships that no longer flew, and a message A face appeared. It was the same man from the Hall of Roots, the first Flamebearer. If you are hearing this, the message said, then the time has come again. This world is not alone. Virelia was only one stop among many. We lit torches in the dark, hoping one day someone would follow. If you wear the ring, then the fire lives in you. Do not forget. The flame is not just light. It is knowledge, courage, and unity. Protect it, share it, and rise together. The message ended. Rin stood in silence. His heart was full. He now understood. The flame was never about ruling. It was about bringing people together. It was a bond between worlds. Mira stepped forward. Now you see why? They fear you. They fear unity. Rin said, because it cannot be controlled. They found a sealed box beside the chair. Inside was a long rod made of silver and gold. When Rin held it, it came to life with light. It was the torch staff, the symbol of the original flame bearer. When they returned to the highlands, the people gathered in the courtyard. The staff in Rin's hand glowed like a star. All eyes watched him as he raised it. I do not bring war. He said, I bring light, and with that light we will break the silence they placed on us. We will not kneel to fear. We will stand side by side as we were meant to. That night, fires were lit across the hills. The symbol of the flame shone brighter than ever. But far away, in the black towers of the Sky Guard, a new order was given. Find him. Stop him. Or the crown will fall. Rin stood at the edge of the mountain, the wind brushing his face. The storm was closer now. He could feel it in the air, but this time he would not run. He would lead. The cold wind swept through the highlands as Rin prepared for the coming battle. The torch staff shone bright in his hand, a steady light against the growing darkness. Around him, the people moved with purpose. Warriors checked their weapons. Scouts whispered reports, and the builders repaired walls and set traps. Mira stood close by, her eyes sharp and calm. She had become more than a guide. She was a friend, a guardian, and now a trusted advisor. They will come soon, she said, quietly. The Sky Guard does not wait long when threatened. Rin nodded, feeling the weight of his new role. He was not the man who crashed on this planet. He was becoming something greater, something the people needed. But with that came fear. What if he failed? What if the flame went out? The first attack came just as the sun began to rise. From the sky, ships darkened the horizon, cutting through clouds like sharp knives. They circled the highlands before releasing their troops. Machines and soldiers poured out like a flood. Rin stood with the leaders on the ramparts. The defenders were ready. The people had fought before, but this was different. This was for their future. The Sky Guard advanced with cold precision. Their armor gleamed black, and their weapons fired bolts of blue light. The ground shook as machines marched forward, crushing trees and stone. But the defenders held fast. With torches and spears, bows and clever traps, they fought to protect their home. Rin moved through the lines, speaking words of hope and strength. "Remember who we are," he shouted. "We are the light that will not be broken. The flame lives in each of us. Stand together." His voice carried across the battlefield. The people fought harder, their courage growing with every strike. Mira was at his side, coordinating the scouts. She pointed out weaknesses in the enemy's formation and sent quick riders to cut supply lines. Her knowledge of the land was their greatest weapon. Hours passed like minutes. The battle raged from the rocky cliffs down to the green fields below. The Sky Guard seemed endless, but so did the spirit of the highlands. At one point, a great machine broke through the front line. It was a towering walker, its legs heavy and powerful. It crushed everything in its path and turned toward the heart of the village. Rin felt a surge of fear. If that machine reached the center, it could destroy everything. Without hesitation, he lifted the torch staff high. A pulse of light shot from its tip, striking the machine's leg. The metal sparked and cracked. The machine stumbled but did not fall. Rin rushed forward, shouting for the warriors to follow. They attacked the machine with everything they had, cutting at its joints and aiming for its core. Finally, with a loud crash, the machine fell, shaking the ground. The defenders cheered, their hope renewed. But the battle was not over. The Sky Guard sent more troops, more machines, and the fight became a test of endurance. Rin's body grew tired, but his spirit remained strong. At night, the fires in the highlands burned bright. The people tended the wounded and prepared for the next day. Rin stood outside the stone building looking up at the stars. He thought about the message from the first flame-bearer. Unity, courage, knowledge. This was what he must bring to the world. Suddenly, Mira approached with a grave look. "We have a problem," she said. Rin turned to her. "The Sky Guard has a new weapon, a device that can block the flame's light. If they use it, the torch will lose its power." Rin frowned. "How do we stop it?" Mira shook her head. "We don't know yet, but I have a plan. We must take the fight to them." Rin's eyes widened. "You mean attack their stronghold?" "Yes," Mira said. "It is risky, but if we wait, they will destroy everything we have built." Rin took a deep breath. He felt the weight of the decision, but also the fire inside. "We will go," he said firmly. "We will show them that the flame cannot be hidden." The next day, Rin and a small team moved quickly through the mountains. They traveled by night and hid by day. The path was dangerous, full of traps and patrols. After many days, they reached the edge of the Sky Guard's territory. The black towers rose like shadows against the sky. Rin looked at the walls. Inside was the heart of the enemy's power. They waited until nightfall, then slipped inside through a secret tunnel Mira had found in old maps. The halls were dark and silent. Inside, they found rooms filled with strange machines and glowing screens. The air was cold and heavy. Rin's heart beat fast. This was where they must destroy the device. Suddenly, guards appeared. A fierce fight broke out. Rin and his team moved with skill and courage. They fought their way deeper into the fortress. At last, they found the device. It was a large crystal pulsing with dark energy. Rin felt a coldness in the air. He raised the torch staff and touched the crystal. Light and shadow battled in a sudden flash. The crystal shattered, and a wave of warm light spread through the halls. The darkness lifted. The team escaped as alarms rang out. Outside, the first rays of dawn touched the mountains. Rin knew the battle was far from over, but a great victory had been won. He looked at the rising sun and smiled. The flame would never die. The battle at the Sky Guard's fortress changed everything. News of Rin's victory spread like wildfire through the highlands and beyond. Villages long silent began to light their torches. People who once hid now stood tall. The flame was alive. Stronger than ever, Rin returned to the highlands to find a people renewed by hope. The fires that burned across the land were not just light. They were promises, promises of freedom, unity, and a future without fear. The days were busy. Rin worked with the leaders, planning how to defend their homes and reach more allies. Mira stayed close, her steady presence a guide through every challenge. The torch staff rested in a place of honor, a symbol to all, but Rin knew the Sky Guard would not give up. Their power was great, and their reach wide. The war was only beginning one evening. Rin walked among the people. He saw children playing under the stars, families sharing food, and warriors training with a new fire in their eyes. The flame was not just in him or in the staff. It was in everyone. He stopped beside a small fire where an elder told stories of the old days. The elder looked up and smiled at Rin. "You carry the light," the elder said. "But remember, it is we who make it burn bright." Rin nodded. The flame was a gift. But it was also a responsibility shared by all. Suddenly, a messenger arrived with urgent news. Scouts had spotted a large Sky Guard fleet heading toward the eastern coast. Their goal was clear: to cut off the highlands from the sea and trap the people inside. Rin gathered his council. They needed a plan that would protect their home and keep hope alive for the outside world. Mira spoke first. "The coast is wild and full of hidden paths. We can use the terrain to our advantage. If we strike before they land, we can stop them." Rin agreed. "We will not wait for them to destroy us. We will meet them in the shadows of the cliffs." The warriors prepared quickly. They set traps and guarded the secret trails. The people stood ready, united by the flame. When the Sky Guard fleet arrived, the battle was fierce. Ships tried to land soldiers, but the Highlands fighters used every advantage. The cliffs echoed with the sounds of war, but the defenders held strong. Rin stood at the front, torch staff glowing bright. He moved like a beacon, guiding his people and striking fear into the hearts of their enemies. After days of fighting, the Sky Guard was forced to retreat. The flame had burned too fiercely to be extinguished. The victory lifted the spirits of all. But Rin knew peace was still far away. The Sky Guard would return, and the struggle would continue. One night, Rin and Mira climbed to the highest peak in the Highlands. Below them, the land stretched wide and wild. The stars above were bright and clear. Rin spoke softly. "Do you think this flame will ever reach other worlds?" Mira smiled. "It already has. The flame is more than light or fire. It is a bond. It connects us across space and time." Rin looked at the ring on his finger. It pulsed gently with the promise of the future. "We are not alone," he said. No, Mira agreed. And we never will be, as long as the flame lives. Together, they watched the dawn break over the mountains. The first light painted the sky with colors of hope. The flame had returned to the world, and with it came a new beginning.